Welcome into the Moi Ploy Boys Dynasty Podcast, the greatest podcast that you didn't want or ask for. And now introducing your hosts, Jake the Gluten-Free Harris and Peter Cheater Pigoo Hot Sizzle O'Donnell.
What is up, my homies, and welcome into the Moi Ploy. It's your boy Jake, the Gluten-Free Harris, back from a night out with some of the boys. Went to the bar, had a few margaritas. 2:30, feeling pretty darn sleepy. So I am going to record this because I love you so much. So I made a video a few days ago about value. And, if you want to think of dynasty value, it can be thought of as an equation that makes no sense. Here's the equation. It is essentially production plus perceived talent plus opportunity divided by age. So it don't actually, there's no quantifiable way to make any of those like an actual number. But, you have their fantasy production. You have, and I say perceived talent, and that's important. Perceived talent is how talented the dynasty community sees them as being. For example, what's a good example? Like Josh Jacobs has produced as like a top fantasy producer for a couple of seasons in a row here. Josh Jacobs. Let's look him up. Come on, Sleeper, you piece of shit. Their fucking internet browser is so bad. Their app is so good, but the actual internet one version of it on the web page is so bad. All right, so Josh Jacobs has finished as a top 12 option in PPR formats 2 seasons in a row, and he's only 24 years old. But the dynasty community perceives him as not being a talented running back. Therefore, he is not drafted as a top 12 running back. He's like running back 20 something that goes off the board, which is stupid because his production is there and his opportunities aren't going anywhere. The only piece that's missing is the perceived talent. And then you divide that by his age. Generally, if you divide a number by a big number, the number gets small. So if he's like 28, you have all these things. Let's say you add it all up and equals 100, whatever these, you add up his production, his perceived talent, and his opportunity. And all those numbers that you can't possibly quantify equal 100. And then you divide it by his age. If you divide it by his age, which is 24, then you're going to get his dynasty value, which is, some bullshit number that no one actually cares about. But if he's older, you divide it, the number gets even smaller. Anyways, you get the picture. I'm still a little bit tipsy and I'm rambling. So I need to talk about somebody that I may have been wrong about. That is Gabe Davis. If you look at the 3 aspects of dynasty value, the production, perceived talent, and opportunity, Davis has 2 of those 3. He has perceived talent by the dynasty community, and he has opportunity. What's missing has been production. In my opinion, if you're not able to get past a super old what the hell is like Cole Beasley, if you can't get past Cole Beasley and whatever the hell that other receiver who was in Buffalo, whose name I just can't remember right now. Come on. It wasn't Jamison Crowder. Oh, man. Oh, well, whatever. He's been around forever. He was with the Emmanuel Sanders? Yeah, pretty sure it's Emmanuel Sanders. If you can't get past hella old Emmanuel Sanders and hella old Cole Beasley, Are you really that talented? He hasn't cracked 600 yards once. Some there's like Marquise Brown took 3 years to really break out. Like the 3 year developmental pattern of wide receivers has kind of been busted over the last couple of years, but it does still happen. It's not necessarily true that if you don't become elite after your second season that you're just not going to have that's just not going to happen for you. There's still examples of a third year breakout. Gabe Davis is a third year, admittedly, he's a third year breakout candidate here. But what really kind of set me off and alarmed me to a potential dynasty value here is that his underdog ADP, an underdog is a redraft league, best ball redraft leagues where people pay money. So everyone has something on the line here. So these aren't just bullshit mock drafts numbers here. He's going as the wide receiver 24. Probably backwards for you guys. 24. He's going in front of Chris Godwin, Rashad Bateman, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks. He's going in front of Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore. Going in front of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Smith, Adam Thielen, Hopkins. He's going in front of some pretty talented dudes that have already proven it. So, what is different here? Because in fantasy, in dynasty, he's going as like the wide receiver 40 something. So, what is the difference between these two values? The redraft community mostly concerns himself with production and opportunity. Perceived talent is the thing that dynasty players mostly look at because situations can change season to season. Darnell Moon or not Darnell, Gabe Davis in this situation may have an opportunity this year that may not be there next year. They may bring in an aging stud. They might go out and get a DeAndre Hopkins or that type of receiver, uh, and add them to the roster. In which case, Gabe Davis becomes the third stringer. That is in the range of outcomes for Gabe Davis, and therefore I think that's why you see the the division between his redraft ADP and his dynasty ADP. So I think that's an interesting point that I don't think the dynasty community is in on his perceived talent because he has the opportunity big time. He doesn't necessarily have proven production. He has the one game against Kansas City in the playoffs. It really comes down to that perceived talent. Now, what happens if Gabe Davis goes out here and posts a 1,000-yard season? I think this 24 ADP in redraft honestly begins to look at a little low. I think Gabe Davis, you're talking about him possibly as a top 20 receiver next year. He'll only be 24. He'll be attached to Josh Allen on his rookie deal still. I think you're looking at a very, very high ceiling potentially for Gabe Davis's dynasty value, which in my mind makes him a hold because the idea of him having a 1,000-yard season isn't outlandish. His toughest competition is going to come from Jamison Crowder, Dawson Knox, and the rookie they brought in, whose name is escaping me, Khalil Shakir. Every time I go to think of somebody's name, I'm pretty sure I say the words, I can't think of it right now, or it's escaping me. So, between those, Jamison Crowder isn't really going to compete with him head to head for snaps because they play two different situations. Crowder will be on the slot. Gabriel Davis is going to be on the outside, kind of more getting moved around. He's built like an alpha. He's not really, there are others like big slot. That's a thing now, like the big slot players. But that's not Gabe Davis. He's got a fairly decent yards per catch. He's used as a deep threat. I say fairly decent. His yards per catch they're good. They're good. He has not finished lower than 15.5 yards per catch. So he is absolutely a deep threat. Now, if we look at Gabe Davis's his rookie season breakdown in 2020, we see he started his rookie season with a snap share of about 50. He hovered around 50%. 48, 35, 75, 58, 100, 64, 93, 59, 49, 51. And then after the bye week, something changes, and Gabe Davis begins to really, really get a lot of time on the field. 97, 97, 83%, 93%, 97%. And then his final game of the season, 59%. Now, he really actually had a decent end of the season there. His rookie year, he had 17 points, 16 points, 11 points, 4, 6, and then 19. So he had a couple games in there where he really popped his rookie season. Unfortunately, next year, he comes in, and I guess he wasn't really able to impress in rookie minicamp, or in not rookie minicamp, in minicamp, training camp, whatever the hell it's called, because he gets stuck behind Cole Beasley and the Crypt Keeper himself, Emmanuel Sanders. In his start of his season, where he left off last season was in the 90s percentage-wise. He starts off the next season with the 51, 32%, 29%. He had never dipped into the 20s once his rookie year. Not one single game in the 20% snap percentage. 29%, 43%, 25%, 34%, 44%, 28%, 52%. He's only had 2 games over 50% snap share so far, and we're on week 10. 34%, 42%, 28%. At this point, I think the Buffalo Bills realized that Emmanuel Sanders was not that dude. He had a great start to the season, but at this point, it was breaking down, slowing down. Cold weather was getting into his old ass knees. Gabe Davis takes a massive hike from 28% snap share to 83% snap share in week 14, 90% snap share in week 90, 87% snap share in 17, and the final game of the season, a 91% snap share. Now, am I impressed with his numbers? No. His catch percentage is not great. Quick maths. 35 catches divided by 63 targets. It's a 55% catch rate. That's not amazing, considering Josh Allen's completion percentage last year was, let's see, 55 we said was the catch rate. 409 divided by 645. Josh Allen's actual completion percentage was 63.4%. So it's almost a 10% dip if you're going to throw to a guy named Gabe. So I think we're probably going to see Gabe Davis. It's possible that I was wrong. It's possible that I was incorrect about who Gabe Davis is. It's possible he takes a leap forward. However, considering how incredibly similar his 2 seasons were, I think we're kind of looking at who he is. What I think his ceiling is this year is a Chase Claypool ceiling, where he's the deep threat, winning those contested catches type of thing, and you're looking at like 800 to 1,000 yard season. And if that's the case, I'm selling him as soon as I can. I think once you see Gabe Davis's once you see his value jump up in those dynasty startups into that kind of mid 20s range, or possibly even worse, possibly even more hyped than that, possibly even higher, I think you can really begin to see his numbers really begin to climb. Now, talking about his competition with Dawson Knox, Dawson Knox is not a particularly elite pass catcher either. He got a lot of hype because he caught 9 touchdowns, but again, 49 catches divided by 71. Okay, that's actually really good. 69% catch percentage. So he had a good catch percentage, but what we know from our tight end breakout finder, we know that you need to command at least 50 targets in your offense your rookie year. Dawson Knox did check that box. However, he did not progress at all his second season. And if you have not broken out as an absolute elite stud tight end by your second year, we know that you are incredibly unlikely to do that for the rest of your season. Now, Knox almost had the floor of an elite season based on touchdowns alone, but touchdowns are not a sticky stat. I would not expect Knox to put up another 9 touchdowns this coming season. Um, so I think it's really going to have to come down to, is Gabe Davis going to get the volume? My heart tells me his volume has to go up. There is no way that he's going to get snap percentages as low as he was. You know, when his snap percentages jumped up from 42% to 83, like kind of in like the high 80s percentage wise, he went from averaging about 3 targets per game to averaging about 8 targets per game. 8 is more than 3. 8 opportunities, that's over double the potential. So if you just want to look at it that way, if he's able to double his target potential here by simply being on the field more and having fewer, you know, established mouths to feed, if he gets 120 targets and he keeps a moderately similar yards per catch, you take that 120 targets, multiply it by 0.55, his catch percentage, that's 66 catches, multiply that by his yards per catch. Let's say it goes down a little bit because maybe he's catching more balls kind of underneath, not necessarily everything. So his 15.69 yards per catch might dip down to like a 14. So we'll say he has 14 yards per reception. That's a 924 yard season. If he's able to get 6, 7 touchdowns like he did his rookie and sophomore season, that'll be a decent fantasy football season for him. That'll be a selling point for you to get out on Gabe Davis, to capitalize on some hype, capitalize on the Bills not having a true wide receiver 2, even though they're more likely to add a wide receiver 2 in the offseason. So if you catch that window just right, good time to get out on Gabe Davis. However, I think that when you see Gabe Davis going as wide receiver 24 and underdog, that should be signaling to you that there is a possibility of an elite breakout here. The redraft community does believe it. So I think that's something real that Gabe Davis is a firm hold for me because of the redraft community's belief in his ability to produce this coming year. That's all I've got. I have rambled way too long for a player that I truly dislike. Thank you, Missouri Aquarium Society. Good night.